Next up is proposed contract amendment for Total Spectrum.
Make sure they can hear us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
I don't.
Vice Chairman, Mr. Stephanie, Secretary, Treasurer, and RBC representatives. Stegoli, my name is Leslie Kulak. I'm a member of the Oneida Nation of Wisconsin. Remember the Oneida Nation of Wisconsin and a member of the Total Spectrum tribal team. Happy to be here today and see all of you healthy. And got a quick presentation to go through to bring everybody up to speed on what has happened in January. Can you hear me, sir? White Earth brought Total Spectrum, a little bit of background. White Earth brought Total Spectrum into a contract ostensibly for its third-party integrity to bind and bring potential partners to the table. White Earth identified potential partners beyond those listed in the agreement. The Total Spectrum team worked for 90 days, approximately, to bring to White Earth the best opportunities for White Earth. The Total Spectrum final report details the recommendations for renewable energy producing systems and the most advantageous and favorable agreements for the nation. The Total Spectrum defined and success in the approximately 90-day period was given. The final report described a variety of opportunities from projects on White Earth to benefit the band members to projects on and off White Earth that were investments, creating revenue streams to benefit the White Earth nation for years to come. These opportunities included potential partners as well as companies that would consider looking for integration to take advantage of the power available through these opportunities. Total Spectrum provided a copy report to the White Earth RBC on January 4th, 2022, fulfilling the terms of its agreement through phases 1 and 2, and identifying project options. Phase 3 of the agreement is project refinement, essentially shovel-ready of the project or projects, if any, that the nation selects to move forward with. We have 2 projects the Total Spectrum team has identified as the most supported by currently available federal grants, supported by utility partners, and capable of being put into a construction phase during the 2022 construction season that's coming. The first of those top 2 proposals we're calling the casino complex, because that's where it will be, shooting star casino space. Combination of solar farm and energy efficient hotel with rooftop solar to replace the current hotel. A 30 megawatt solar farm built behind a casino combined with a solar array atop the new hotel to be used to power the casino hotel complex, reducing the amount paid by the complex for electricity. If all the power from this facility could be sold to a local utility within a power purchase agreement with Hotel Power, it's been a super supportive entity discussions and discoveries, and or with Great River Energy, the co-op. The estimated net annual revenue from the project exceeds $6 million. However, the best use of this energy is likely to bring down the cost of energy for the casino and hotel themselves. Thus, dedicating any power in excess of that used by the casino complex to reduce the monthly electricity bills in the area of the casino or to sell via power purchase agreements. The use of the excess power is up to the RBC to decide. That decision, as well as all information about a new hotel, would be based on analysis gathered during the project refinement phase 3 of the Total Spectrum Agreement, which is what we're proposing to be entered into. I'm going to turn to Gus Chakotz, who's not with us, and hopefully we'll be able to get him jerry-rigged into the speaker so you can hear him. He'll walk us through a quick analysis of the casino complex option. Mr. Chairman, you and I think everybody should have copies of this presentation, so we'll be able to video live it. Thank you. So that's, I don't know how to do this.
Where's he at?
I put a microphone. So he wants to call in. So I gotta dial him in.
Can go down in and
Your call cannot be
While we're waiting, so that's one project that we have two projects that we did to reach up already. And the RBC at some point, we presented with the option of using the flow projects to reduce land members' electricity costs, or alternatively to fill a revenue stream, for the ban for at least 30 years.
You have dialed an invalid account. Please dial your account code at the prompt.
For the casino, that benefits the casino. What Todd asked is, how is Total Spectrum and the $2 million that has been spent already, how is that money, how is that $2 million benefited the people? All I know is that it's benefited a handful of people that are driving around a bunch of brand new nice cars. So how does that solar array benefit the individual person? Because couldn't we put solar panels on the homes of people first, then the casino? Wait.
Thank you, Ted.
Is he on?
So,
Yeah.
a lot of our
Yes, it's on.
structures on the reservation are incapable of withstanding solar panels, and more importantly, we consolidate the power into one large array rather than doing the individual solar panels. You have the capability of, as I said, either reducing land members and businesses' electricity costs monthly, or alternatively creating a revenue stream that the tribe can use for the benefit of other services given or however it is. Do we have, yes?
Gus, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you hear him?
What's up?
Did your thing work?
Yeah, here.
Huh?
Can I put this to?
I think they can hear.
But
But
Gus, can you say something?
But I'm at a meeting, babe. Yes, yeah, I'm here. I can hear you.
get on this.
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, that's better.
You got the floor. Say your name and
Go ahead, Gus.
All right, yes, this is Gus Checkett. I'm with Total Spectrum. I'm a consulting engineer,
Louder.
and I put together several proposals for community solar, one for White Earth Village and one for Waban. We also have submitted a proposal for a utility scale microgrid or grid for Monoman. So there's three different preliminary designs that have been submitted for review, and what I would like to do is just take a minute and kind of explain the highlights. The first one would be for Monoman, and it would basically power the entire casino complex plus the city of Monoman. About 30 megawatts would be more than adequate to provide all the electricity for the community of Monoman, as well as casino complex, and probably a little bit to spare if you wanted to convert the casino over to entirely electric and get away from natural gas. Then there would be enough energy within that 30 megawatt solar farm to be able to do that. For the communities of White Earth and the communities of Waban, we could do a 1 megawatt microgrid. And the reason we're looking at 1 microgrid is because Minnesota has legislation that says communities should be able to negotiate with the utility companies for a community solar garden. Basically, they can produce the electricity they need up to 1 megawatt AC nameplate capacity. So those two communities, we put together a preliminary design. You can review those, but in each of those cases, the payback for these systems is in the neighborhood of 4 to 6 years with available assistance, federal assistance, and with good negotiations with the utility company. And all of these would be serviced by Otter Tail. So are there questions on the proposals? I can go through it in more detail, but basically we're looking for an opportunity to save members money on the utility bills or to provide a source of revenue. And each of these community solar gardens and the 30 megawatt solar farm from Manoman could be used to help lower utility bills or could be used to generate revenues for the tribe. Thank you very much. Question?
That's not,
I
sorry.
have a quick question.
I have, who's gonna pay for these? Want us to pay for them?
We have currently identified approximately $500 million in financing. That's financing, that's loans. And what we have currently available through a combination of COVID funding through the federal government, grants funding, the infrastructure program, some of the targeted in tribal and rural communities, is the opportunity to go out on those grants. They are opening and closing as we speak with opportunities. So we're trying to stay on top of them. Some have closed or will be closing in this month. So it's kind of urgent to get our act together. I know for one thing, the Department of Energy has a program out there that's looking for shovel-ready projects for at least 3 to 5 years on tribal lands. They have yet to give out a loan. That's a loan. They're a low interest, long term, but they only give them out if the project can pay for itself. And then you got to put it to it. So that's it. The work we would be doing, total spectrum, and our grant writing, grant verification, and grant writing on behalf of the tribe to help find funds that are not loans. But there are likely to be loans that are also tax credits that non-tribal entities will come in and purchase from the tribe. So because the tribe doesn't pay taxes, we're eligible to work toward projects that earn those tax credits. We can't take advantage of them, but they can be sold to somebody whose taxes are so high that they use those tax credits to reduce their federal taxes.
So, can I interrupt for a second? Annie, you asked the question, and she was responding to you.
So, like, do you understand?
Yeah,
where the
but
money
I don't
would be
see us
coming
going
from?
into any loans, but we already gave you guys
No, there's
4.9
grants that are available.
But she's also
and-
saying loans.
No, there's different things that we can apply for under the infrastructure bill that just passed. And they are looking for Indian communities, Indian tribes to grant this.
But we have our own
that.
grant writers. Are they writing for these grants? Are we going for them on our own?
That's Eugene.
We should be, yeah.
Well, these should be, and what we have in place right now, you're gonna waste more time looking for it when we already have the information.
So what
Okay,
are you-
and so
what are you looking from us?
Your question about who's gonna pay for it, who who pays for your guys' wages?
But then we should put it out to the membership then.
That's what this is going to a referendum vote. That's what the contract was with. So if you guys didn't read the contract, then he should probably explain it so that you guys do understand.
We do have a,
Yes, read the contract and you'll.
Yeah, hello. Okay, my name is Joan Thompson. I'm an elder, and I agree that this would be a good thing. But we need to look into the aftermath of this because you got to know how the public utilities work because they are guaranteed a profit. These electric companies, gas companies, and they get their funding by the government and by the state. And if they're losing money, they can hike their rates sky high if they want to. If they get the commission will pay them. But you've got to look into the problem that California is having because they've had their solar power going in there, and I think they have maybe 20% solar power, and they are having problems with the low-income people that don't have solar power, and their rates are outrageous over there because they're allowed to charge more money for their power because they're losing money in the state allows them to do that.
So in response to that, right now we pay about 12 to 13 cents. People don't think cents is very much, but it adds up. So what she's talking about is, yeah, they can go ahead and charge us whatever they want. Right now we're having people getting lights shut off. Our energy assistance all goes through to that. If you work for the RBC, you can't even qualify for energy assistance. So you can't tell me that people ain't coming to you guys for help, for heat, because my lights are getting shut off. You can't tell me that we don't have constituents out here, tribal members, that are getting their lights shut off because they can't afford it. So by us having our own things with the utilities, the tribal utility commissions, I mean, there's a lot of things we can do because of the tribal sovereignty. And you guys are already exercising that right on only what you want, though. As 5 people, 4 now. Well, 3 now, because Mickey Hodges wasn't even seated. So now we're down to 3 representatives for 17,000 people. 4,000 people. That ain't whatever how many people we have enrolled. You know, we lost a lot of people. Look at that old man, didn't even have heat. So by prolonging this, because you guys aren't understanding what can happen for the future of our children. Our children. What are they gonna do when Otter Tail says, okay, we're gonna charge you $1 per kilowatt? Then what? When we have the chance to take it and own it, and create our own price for our own people so that they don't get their lights shut off. They ain't coming to the community, to the tribal council saying, can you help me? That's where all this lies. We're looking out for the benefit of the future. And if you guys can't help, then I don't know, you know, what we're paying you guys for. Be good.
Yeah, I'm Maggie Drozel, a member, and I had the opportunity to actually look at the final report from the total spectrum, and there are some excellent opportunities in there to help all our tribal members. The ones that support the individual communities, and the one that she's talking about for the casino. The report is pretty understandable when you start reading it. But what I do want to say is it's been reflected on Otter Tail, Otter Tail, Otter Tail. So we have families that are wild rice, Itasca man trap. So we have different power companies that serve our reservation. So I'm wondering, how is it going to benefit somebody from another power company?
Thank you. So one of the alternatives that we've identified is power purchase agreements, which sell power that either the RBC identifies to be sold in total or that is excess beyond what our tribal numbers or our casino complex or the community gardens that they're about to would use. And one of the entities that would be the potential power agreement that we would go into a potential purchase power agreement with is GRE. So GRE is the power co-op that provides the power to the co-ops. And we can go to Wild Rice and we can talk to them, but they'd have to exit that co-op in order to buy more than 5% of their power from White. So we go to GRE and we would work with them to help to offset the costs of power. So we sell them power, they sell us back power. Eventually, our power rates are expected to be extremely low because we don't have a big overhead. We don't have a big amount of buildings on the ground, large amount of people running it. And so our price per kilowatt hour is expected to be significantly lower, which means that we have that gap of financing to work with. Thank you.
So currently, $2 million, over $2 million has been spent. $4.9 million are in the asking. Two questions. Out of that $2 million spent, how much was given to Total Spectrum? And how much was given to the individuals that all of a sudden popped up as a business out of nowhere? I know two of the businesses were established, but the other ones just popped up out of nowhere, just like Spectrum popped up out of nowhere, because Spectrum is a bunch of lobbyists out of Washington, D.C. that have their pockets lined from senators that are part of these passing of bills, so they have foreknowledge of the trillions of dollars that are set aside for the alleged green movement. But again, how much money has Total Spectrum currently received from our people?
So Total Spectrum to date has received 2 of the 3 payments for phases 1 and 2. Those 2 payments each totaled, where's my document? Each totaled $1,028,000. So far, we've received $2 million plus. That money has been used to hire consultants. You've heard from at least 2 of them today. Consultants who understand oh, that's better, PUC situation, regulatory situation, at least to get us started, financial team to help us begin working through the numbers.
PUC means power utility.
Power utility, power utility company up here. PUC.
Commission, Public Utility Commission.
Commission, sorry. I was going through that today. Power Utility Commission. So that's the regulatory arm at the state level. And then at the federal level, we have grants, people who've been working in these Department of Energy, Bureau of Indian Affairs, USDA granting programs on board.
And Senator who?
I don't know.
Hey, Mike, it's Alan.
Can I, before we...
Mr. Chair. Hey, I had a question. What are the projects again? I was having a hard time hearing all the projects.
Why did you guys have to hire consultants?
So the question is, why have we had to hire consultants? Should we already have that information? It's a specialized area. Energy, renewable energy, all of the work that is done in Indian country really focuses itself into a handful of entities who know what they're doing, who know how to get this work done. We could have gone out and got consultants to tell you anything they wanted to tell you. That's not what we did. We went out and got consultants to bring people to the table, bring companies to the table, bring utilities to the table. We went out and we got consultants who could do this calculation. I'll be back. Got Alan in the line. Mr. Secretary?
Alan,
Yeah, I just want to know, what were the projects that you guys were talking about again?
Okay, so, thank you. Let me see if I can get through this, because you guys have a long meeting, and I've got a bit of a here. So we have two projects that we're proposing, and you've heard some of the detail on the first one. The first one is at the casino complex, a solar farm and an energy efficient hotel with rooftop solar. Lenny, give me 10 minutes when my time runs out.
I got a text message.
Okay. So we've got that's the number one item. That's the one that we talked through. If that casino complex solar farm were built at a higher capacity of 40 megawatts, that would establish White as a potential power producer, encouraging data centers or Bitcoin miners to establish operations on White. The second project that we're proposing moving forward with is the creation of up to 4 community solar gardens in partnership with Ottertail Power. And I understand your point. Ottertail has been working with us outside their footprint on some local programs to help our businesses and our households. We're not ready to present those yet, and those will be presented by our green team at a later meeting. Community solar garden power would be used primarily to reduce the monthly electricity bills for the businesses and homes that are within footprints surrounding the solar gardens. If I may, I'm going to turn this back over to Gus Checks to quickly walk us through 2 potential solar gardens. Our council passed the paperwork for these 2. One is in Wabbit and the other one is in White Earth.
Trying to figure out how to manage that.
are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. What was the question?
Gus,
Yes.
Gus, can you talk us through the 2 community solar garden projects? Again, if you've
Yes.
already done it. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, let me kind of be brief on the 2 solar gardens, one for White Earth and one for Waban. Again, the Minnesota legislature has passed regulations that require utilities to move and transition to renewable energy. So they've incentivized communities like those on White Earth Reservation to adopt community solar programs. And so they offer favorable net metering programs. In fact, XL has the most generous program in the entire country, and Minnesota leads the entire nation in community solar development. So basically the utilities are offering a hand to develop these community solar gardens. And the one in Waban would be right at 1 megawatt. That's the cap under the Minnesota legislation that says you can go up to 1 megawatt with these community solar gardens. And a megawatt is going to cost you between $2 and $3 million. Again, Leslie mentioned that there are some grants that we will apply for and try and bring that cost down. But the potential is being able to recover the cost of that investment within 3 to 5 years. And so after that, the energy from the solar garden in Waban or in White Earth would go directly to a utility for that community. That money could be used not only to provide electricity, but also to provide other services So there are many things that we can do, but this provides a revenue stream or an opportunity to save money. And so you're going to invest, $2 to $3 million. We're going to try and get grants to help reduce that down to probably around 50%. And so the payback on that is fairly quick. And so it makes a lot of sense to, have reliable energy for the people in those communities, and they can subscribe and you can negotiate whatever utility rates you seem fair, 10 or 12 cents a kilowatt, and then you would have a little bit of reserve there to pay for, recover the cost of that investment, or to be able to use some of those funds to reinvest back into that community. So that's really the play here, is to develop these community solar gardens so that the communities that can take advantage of a lower cost energy, a clean energy, and could generate revenues for that community to do things that the community needs. So are there specific questions about these proposals? Again, these are very preliminary, but it just gives you some idea of the capabilities that would take in the neighborhood of 3 to 5 acres of land to be able to put a 1 megawatt solar garden in those communities. And Otter Tail is very supportive. They would support up to 6 of the community solar gardens on the reservation.
Great, thank you, Gus.
Thank you, Gus. I'm going to summarize this and we can do Q&A. The work that's required for Total Spectrum to bring any element of these 2 projects to shovel-ready stage, again, that's casino, hotel, food farm project, and up to 4 community gardens in lighter communities, specifically targeted to lighter community members in those areas. We're required for Total Spectrum to bring any element of these projects to shovel-ready stage to be the subject of an amendment to the current Total Spectrum agreement that authorizes both lighter Total Spectrum and then phase 3 agreement. Most of the chunks of which are already spelled out in the current agreement, but this focuses more on construction, which is not specialization of our team. Our team is primarily focused on getting things ready, shovel ready, and so we've got to pull in a couple of extra folks to do construction work with us, architects and engineers and so forth. A draft of such an amendment has been provided by your council. At this point, I don't want to just happy with it, and but we would continue to work out the terms of such an amendment if it's approved and authorized by the RBC. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I guess the questions I have, I know we're talking some good dialogue here about energy savings and projects, and one of the big questions I've also had about all of this is our creating our own public utility commission. I know as council, we all went down to St. Paul and met with the Minnesota Public Utility Commission, and we notified them at our meeting that we are going to create our own public utility commission to regulate our own what we buy and what we sell our power at. And this is what we're going to do as a nation. And I know today that you're asking us to approve something which I think our public utility commission just the ordinance was sent out yesterday again, and we're going to approve it at the next meeting that we directly Total Spectrum deals with our public utility commission when we get it organized. So I know it's important that we're all on the same page when it comes to energy. Because I know you're saying one thing, but White has to set up their PUC in order for us to regulate what we're going to regulate on White. So it's important that both contractor and PUC, look at things in a proactive way and how we're going to set and regulate our own utilities as White Nation. And it's important that we have that in place first. Because right now we're talking numbers, we're talking about what we buy, what we're going to sell for, but we don't have that designated attorney yet on our PUC to give those answers for what's going to benefit Whiters and Ojibwe. So it's important that we have our Public Utility Commission set in place first before we do any type of negotiating with anyone. And I think that's one of the main things that we've been striving for many years. This comes back all the way from Winona to when I was deputy director, and we were putting the Public Utility Commission together back in 2016, 15, and 16. That it's important that we have the Public Utility Commission sitting, working on these things together and give us information to the council on what's best for White Earth and Ojibwe and all 17,000 of us. That's what I look at, and that's what I expect from our council to look what's best for all of us from both, all the experts on the reservation. So.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The concept of putting together the tribal commission is in our report as well.
I have you read a page, the final report, page 6, from top to bottom.
From top to bottom. So the report came with limiting conditions and assumptions. The assumptions used to compile this final report and the recommendations arrived at herein. This is out of the final report. It's page 5 of the report. And it comes before the actual terminology of the report comes out. The assumptions used to compile this final report and the recommendations arrived at herein are based on current market conditions and political considerations and are valid only for the stated purpose of the independent agreement between the White Earth Band of Ojibwe and Total Spectrum SGA Business Development, dated September 24th, 2021, as of the date of this final report. Public information and industry financial and statistical information have been obtained from sources Total Spectrum believes to be reliable. However, we make no representation as to the accuracy or completeness of such information and have performed the procedures to corroborate the information. Total Spectrum does not provide assurance on the achievability of the results forecasted in this final report because events and circumstances frequently do occur as expected differences between actual and expected results may be material, and achievement of the forecasted results is dependent on actions, plans, and assumptions driven by the White Earth RBC and the White Earth Band of Ojibwe. The estimates arrived at herein are based on the assumption that a reasonable level of management expertise and effectiveness would be established and maintained by the White Earth RBC, likely through your commission, and that the character and integrity of the recommended projects would not be materially or significantly changed. This report, the values arrived at herein are for the exclusive use of the White Earth RBC and the White Earth Band of Ojibwe for the sole and specific purposes as noted herein. It may not be used for any other purpose or by any other party for any purpose. Furthermore, the reported estimates are not intended by the author and should not be construed by the reader to be investment advice in any manner whatsoever. Neither all nor any part of the contents of this report should be disseminated to the public through social media, advertising media, public relations, news media, sales media, mail, direct transmittal, or any other means of communication without the prior written consent and approval of Total Spectrum. No change of any item in this report should be made by anyone other than Total Spectrum, and Total Spectrum shall have no responsibility for any such unauthorized change. Total Spectrum has not substantiated assumptions relative to capacity factors, utilization percentages of any facilities or projects, long-term fuel costs, and other variables that could have a material impact on our analysis. I can explain to you. There's a lot of gobbledygook in there, and it's legal gobbledygook. You'll find it in the front of a lot of reports that go into this kind of analysis at this kind of level. So this report was one put together in 90 days in order to identify specific projects that came to our attention, that the organizations brought to our attention, and that we went through as much evaluation as possible in that 90-day period. It was tight. So we can't, everything changes. Markets go up, markets go down. Everybody's groceries and oil has gone up. We didn't predict that. So it's the kind of language we put in there. What's the problem with sharing on social media? Once things go out on social media, they tend to go out without a situation like this where questions can be asked and answered. It's very difficult to get the information right. It gets turned around, it gets messed up. People edit, PDFs can be edited, and so it's very hard to control. Having said that, I'm going to turn
Total Spectrum is ready to authorize release of that document to tribal band members with the approval of the RBC.
I got something I want to ask.
Does the RBC want to approve that? Release the document?
No, we didn't approve the amendment.
No, that's not what she's asking. She's asking.
I just got a
release.
question, everything that's gonna be installed with the solar stuff, is there gonna be, I heard you mention the city of Monoman, that a large part of that percentage is gonna help the city of Monoman, right, as far as the cost, right? Is that gonna be for non-members as well?
I understand there's a substantial non-member population in the city of Manila around non-member businesses. I'm not sure that we can limit it to tribal members only. So at this point, I have to say it doesn't exclude anybody.
So is a lot of this energy that's gonna be produced, is it gonna be a certain percentage of that, and that's gonna be going towards the operational cost, the energy cost to the casino? I mean, and then I heard you mention that guy talking about community gardens. Now, are these community gardens going to be in Natawash, all over, scattered all over, and are we all going to get the same amount of benefit?
So the community gardens proposal is to build up to 4. Otter has told us that they would support us building up to 6. They're also helping us with the financing and some of the other considerations and with the operational maintenance. Those communities, I'm going to back up to your first question now. Those community solar gardens are for the benefit of those communities. At a point, once the full evaluation is completed, we'll come back and say, here's what they can do, here's what they can power, here is the approval we need from the tribal commission, because we're going to be running lines to get to the neighborhoods and down the streets. But essentially, you've got the solar array, you've got a box that puts that energy in one space, and it distributes it out through the neighborhood. It relies on current infrastructure. I feel like I'm going too fast. Understood. The goal is to distribute it equally. Again, that's up to how the commission decides to work with us, and I'm very glad to hear that, because there are questions like this that we are not qualified to answer. It's a community thing. It's a community decision. So to my knowledge, right now, that would be a problem. Your first question. Right. Before that, you were asking about the solar farm in Monoman and the amount of power that it puts out. So most of that power, we think we're back to what is the tribal what makes sense in terms of the prices and where the benefit goes. Is the higher benefit in reducing tribal members' cost? Question number 2, is that what tribal members prefer? Is the higher benefit in selling off that power? It has to be excess of the hotel. See, that's why I built it there otherwise. So essentially the first wattage of power goes to the hotel and casino to try to bring that expense down and hopefully down to 0. And then the excess of that, the second watt of power, goes either out into the sold, and that money comes back. Right. No decision on that has been made. On where it goes? No decision has been made. I'm walking through the most likely scenario right now, because we have not, this upcoming phase would allow us to do comparisons of prices, uses. We can't do any contemplation of what a hotel and the casino need until we do that analysis. That doesn't take any time, because others have the information, right? And they want to work with us. They're a little afraid of us. So I want to make that point. When you start talking tribal utility commission, that takes the power they've had with the public utility commission out of their hands.
Yeah, a good example is, our turbine in White Earth, 750 kilowatt, we're only getting 2.5% back to Wild Rice. So that's just a good example that we're getting low-ended right now to Wild Rice. So that's why it's so important that we get a public utility commission to negotiate that price. When we sell our energy back to the utility companies, we should be getting 5 to 6 cents per kilowatt from that turbine. But we're getting only 2.5%, so it's important that we lay the groundwork first of creating our public utility commission first before we do any type of negotiating. That they're the ones that are going to set precedents on this. So I know we're going really long time on this, guys. I know we're going to finish up. It's important that we wrap this up real quick. We have a lot to go on our agenda.
You told me if you wanted to go beyond this.
Wrong door.
I'm Joe D'Ambrosio, co-founder of Ogama Organics. I am one of the venture parties selected by Total Spectrum. I believe in our people here on White Earth. We have the capacity, we have the desire to learn. Our people are consummate learners. We just need the opportunity and chance. And this is what Total Spectrum has brought to our community. They have given trust to people that they thought were shit stirrers. People who originally, and still do, quite often disagree with Secretary Treasurer, Chairman, and, you know, what it comes down to is that we are not leaving White Earth. We are here. We are part of this community. In 1917, I believe, we were given an allotment from the U.S. government to construct an electrical grid. That was here. That is supposed to be ours, originally. We were given the grid, but we weren't given the education or funding to operate and maintain that grid. And over the years, the infrastructure has needed to be built up to support the needs of our people, the economy on the reservation, and everything beyond. We have the opportunity right now to invest in our people. So we do not need to be reliant on these friggin' handouts, right? I guarantee you every single one of us in this room has had a sense of entitlement because we have been lied to. We were given promises that were never met. Mr. Chairman, you have no idea the sadness I carry in my heart, remembering how happy I was the day you were inaugurated and danced with our people. I am now sick and tired of seeing you walk on our people. I apologize. Let it be clear.
How much of that 4.9 million did go in your pocket?
It is not in my pocket. Ogama Organics has made a commitment to the White Earth Indian Reservation. There is a solar array right now in Rice Lake that Ogama Organics has committed to make function. It is sitting there idle. The church right there in the Rice Lake Village, that is a community gathering space. as I've been told, made aware. And if we move forward, we'll be able to provide these same opportunities to the rest of the communities across White Earth. The time is now. Mr. Shores, Nese, I will tell you that I got more than I deserve, and I am willing to distribute this wealth amongst the people of White Earth to show that we are worth it. Me, you.
Yes, I mean.
I'm not running with your meeting, sir.
I just have a couple of questions. Chairman Fairbanks, I appreciate the way you've been running the meeting and I respect you very much. But my question is, what is the timeline to create an active PUC? You shared that you've been talking about it since 2015. And if we have an opportunity and we don't have that PUC to make decisions, the opportunity goes void. So could you share a timeline?
Well, the email was sent yesterday, wasn't it? Yeah, the final version.
The final version was emailed to all council yesterday. I know, and when council does respond to it, I know we had it on the website for public comment, but it was modified. And I know that if council wants to take action today, we could pass the final version today, if you want. But it's up to council, and I'm not sure if Ray and Annie and Ellen have read up on the final version, which I think is great. But I know that we could pass the PUC today if we wanted to.
It's on there. 50.
I've been asking for months.
I can do it.
Access to these documents. And I haven't got them yet. Because I have the moment to sit and read. Well, technically, my computer reads it. Well, I get surprised these documents, but I keep getting stonewalled.
Can we get a written copy of it?
Yeah, we can send it to
My own brother
Yeah,
wants
expand
to
it.
read documents.
We can send it to you, Nase.
He chooses not to talk to me because I have chastised him. How can he take so much money from the tribe? That's why my brother won't talk to me.
Thank you. I just wanted, Lucille again. I just wanted to say I have no problem, and we've been talking about energy for our tribe for years. But, when there's a document that hasn't been distributed out to our people so they can better understand what is going on and, ask for a referendum vote from the people, that's not okay. For one thing, when I first looked at this document, you have Mr. Mickey Hodges on there as acting representative District 2. You can't even pass this today because that document would be illegal. I mean, and then there's parts of this that says it can't be distributed to the public for whatever reason. If we can't have a say in what we're spending $4.9 million on, that's not okay. We asked that. I thought I'm getting a chance to read that a little bit better. But I'm not okay with asking for this to be okay today. Like Mike said, there's a PUC that has to be studied and enforced and put together on our reservation. Don't jump the gun. We're talking about a lot of money that's being spent. So I'm begging for money to fix our people's homes, you know, and then when this amount of money is being spent and more is being asked, that's not okay. Thank you.
Ani Douglas Lee edition Kaska Wababiganakag in Dune Jabba. Teresa said she'd give me $100 if I tried to do my introduction with a British accent. I'll do that later. So, I'm going to stand and talk to everybody. So 4.9 wasn't spent. We said that was the contract. 4.9 wasn't spent. It's 2. So I just want to talk about a couple of things. Okay. White Earth is known for not finishing good projects. White Earth is known for not finishing. It's been 7 years for the PUC just talking about. That's another thing again. What I'm saying is White Earth is known for not finishing projects. Politics get involved, right? This is not a potato chip factory. This isn't frozen pizzas. This is energy, something that we all use. The 1 megawatt community garden, you asked who would pay for it. 50% of that's why we're talking about Otter Tail, because they have that awesome program. 50% of it, half of it, and the 20% coming from grants. How much goes out the door, off the reservation to these big companies? How long would it take? So what's that investment? If you do the math, 50% is paid for, 20% from grants, so we're paying 30% for the project. That amount would be an investment. How much would it take to spend that much if we didn't do it? How much would it take to spend that much? Joe, you're not even logically thinking about it, critically thinking about it, because you oppose the whole thing and you're already set in motion that you're just gonna blah, 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 no matter what you set up here. But I'm asking for people with their individual minds to actually critically think about it. How much can we save? How 150 households in Waban, 150 households in White Earth? To me, this is a good investment. It's not a potato chip factory. It's not frozen pizza.
Doug?
Yes, ma'am.
Here's where I sit on it. I'm going to speak for myself. I'm not speaking for the council. And I'm glad you guys are all here. And yes, you did come together on your own and you formed your businesses. You did what you had to do. 4.9 million is a lot of money. And no, we did not put it out to the people, which I regret to this day. And I apologize for that. But to me, for 4.9 million, we should get something besides this, something on paper. You know, that's a lot of money. And, you know, I probably jumped the gun on voting for it, but I do believe in you guys. And you know, that ain't gonna stop. I know you guys probably be pissed at me, but to me, you know, there's a few of our members that are benefiting from this, yet there's like 16,000 more out there that aren't. So that's my big issue now, and I wish I would have thought this over more, and I didn't. And like I say, I apologize to the members for that, but that's where I stand right now. And you know, it's like every time we get something, we have to dish out more money. Well, where's the 4.9 million going? Let's dish that out and get something built here. Miigwech.
Thank you.
I asked how Waban was true last night.
I don't know if we can.
It was within Otter Tail service area to begin with.
My question is this whole issue going to a referendum vote for the people then?
Yes.
My second question is, what the hell are we doing here then? What are we doing here? Let's get that taken care of first before we give out any money. Let's get our money back that we already did.
You can hear what he said.
If it goes up to referendum, I'll bet that's the one that won't pass. Why is the city here discussing this, thinking about money, when it's probably won't even pass? It's on the money. That's what we want to say.
Well, creating a future for our children. I mean, I have something right now that I'm gonna remind everybody about. My dad was Dale Hayes. He fought for the land claims. We would eat eggs at night while other people were eating steaks. All on the council, all on the chairman. We knew shit happened for years. So I'm gonna read you guys something. No, and this is coming from the heart for me. I've learned, okay, my experience with the green team. I found out that the larger utility companies are good old boy monopoly. It feels threatened by the sovereignty to be able to develop a tribal utilities commission. Now that takes money from the white man. See? They dictate how much we pay for our lights. We rely on energy assistance, the ones who don't have a RBC job. Okay, so we would enable White Earth or the Mississippi Band, who the White Earth Tribal Council and the Tribal Executive Committee takes care of our assets and our rights as the Mississippi Band of White Earth. In accordance to the Treaty of 1867, the Mississippi Band, which is the law of the land, the treaty, which we were born with the inherent right, of the 1867 treaty that was created the reservation for the full-blooded Mississippi Band. But we don't have full-bloods no more. Thank you, United States government and ourselves. Which, no, there's not one full-blooded Indian here, Joe. You know that. We're all dark like it, but really, come on.
I prefer to be called pigment challenge.
And it's because we keep ourselves this way. If you understand who you are as a Mississippi Band member, that's who has the right to this treaty that created White Earth. If you don't, look it up. You know, I was taught this since I was 8 years old when we bought land claims, when they were selling the land. Here we got Wyoming to do. Find land back. Because our chairman 30 years ago was selling our land without the people's vote. While she's purchasing, whatever happened, we're getting it back. Look we just got, I don't know how many acres. Ask Wendy, I don't know what she's doing with getting the land back. There's a lot of things that have gotten back, and it's because individuals are sticking up for their rights. That's the Mississippi. If you do not understand that this land was made for not being you, this reservation was made for the Mississippi Band members. And we're still here. We are the children of the treaty, which the TEC and the White Earth Tribal Councils all hide under. They take care of our assets, everybody. They babysit our stuff. Now they can walk out of a meeting and just be gone. We're paying them $120,000, $170,000, whatever it is, a year. When we got this man here sitting in 23 degrees weather, his brother just passed away. Everybody laughed at him all the time, coming in the meetings, because he would say, treaty rights, this is who we are. Now he's gone and dead, and don't nobody say a word about all the hard work he has done. But yet his brother has to sit here in 20 to 3 degree weather when we're paying. Talk about spending money. How much are you guys making a year? Can none of you guys pitch in $200 and get this man, or make a phone call and get him at the casino?
Well,
I mean, that's not the way. We elected you guys in. You know, you're elected in, you can be taken out too. And then have to go back to the RTC to get another job.
So you gotta talk about total
I mean,
spectrum. We're on total
what I'm
spectrum.
saying, hey, you know what? This is my right to sit and talk.
Pretty sure we're on.
This is no, that's a policy. This is my inherent right. I was born with this inherent right. If you can't understand that, then Mr. Chairman, you need to step down.
Hey, Teresa, can I have a 3 minutes?
This is my mic right now. You can have it. Come up and grab it. I don't care. Come up and grab it. What you're trying to, what anyone is trying to say is that we have this legal inherent right. I was born with the shit.
Let me finish my question. You took the mic from me and jumped in.
Point of order. Take a break. Take a 5-minute break.
5-minute break, guys, 5-minute break.
Exactly.
Well, I just want to finish my question.
I don't know, Nida, we do that there too.